the worst parts about being a YouTuber that no one talks about is that your audience is, yes, filled with endearing viewers that are eager to engage with their content. However, a lot of y'all are just flat out morons.
I'm not upset with y'all because I know you're mentally ill.
3, 2, 1. Some animals give me boner.
2025 is coming to a close, everyone, and it's that 1 week after Christmas where it feels like nothing happens. Either that or I procrastinated too much and finished the video after New Year's. What better way to end off the year than looking at the treasure trove that is my comments section? Wait, a dedicated video on responding to comments I deemed stupid from the previous videos? What is this, an Eclipse Daily Dose of Stupid?
You should kill yourself now.
I'm never beating the allegations, am I? Before we start the video though, we got some art from the server to share along with some new ones. Thanks for all the great art y'all made this year. This last one isn't necessarily fan art of me, but it has me in it, so it counts. If you know about what happened 2 videos ago, there's been some drama that came from that whole debacle, but you know, it is what it is. Anyways, like if you like the video, dislike if you don't. Also, Roblox's front page kinda sucks. Give me some game suggestions to play. I know not a lot of people will watch this video, but who cares? Might as well end off the year with some games to play. Subscribe if you haven't, and let's actually start the video now. I'm gonna start off with my latest video on Roblox RPGs because in that video, I talked about a variety of Roblox games, most of them being viewer suggested. Y'all would just not shut up about asking me to play Pilgrimmed. Y'all were gassing it up like it's supposed to be the greatest thing since sliced bread, but for me, it just turned out to be a mildly stale loaf of bread. Like, yeah, it's edible, but I'd really rather be eating something better. Apparently though, that was absolutely unacceptable because y'all were livid in the comments. One criticism I made in the Pilgrim segment was that there wasn't a block buffer where you could just hold block and have it make the player block immediately after attacking. But everyone was telling me that it's actually in the settings. Personally, I don't know why a quality of life feature like that is off by default, but hey, at least it's an option, so I apologize for that. However, that's the only thing I'm gonna walk back from on my last video because y'all's rebuttals towards my video make no sense whatsoever. So the first comment I feel encapsulates what a lot of people are saying about my first impressions of Pilgrimmed. This guy over here is talking about how my video really grinds his gears and says, "First off, you criticize early game immediately!" I mean, yeah, if I played for 5 hours and I haven't been hooked yet, I'm gonna be critical. Second off, Thief King should reinforce the game mechanics. And he criticizes me for having a level 30 player carry me. There are a couple of comments complaining about me getting carried by a high level player, and I swear, some of you guys watch this video with your eyes and ears closed because immediately after I say I was carried, I say that I made a new save file and beat the Thief King all by myself. Third off, the game's combat is boring. Not the game's fault you can't whip out a chainsaw shotgun to kill an eldritch horror and the effing Blight of Dreams himself. Let me say, holy straw man! What does any of that have to do with the game's actual combat mechanics? I just thought that the game's combat kinda sucked because it can be easily cheesed if the boss is too hard and it sucks to fight groups of enemies. You're basically saying, oh, you like pancakes? Why do you think everyone that eats waffles should be hanged?
It's like George Orwell's book, 1984.
Incomprehensible. Moving on. Next comment says, I genuinely hate it when people choose to cheese or ignore mechanics because they hate putting in actual work to have actual fun. If you didn't try to cheese the boss but instead try to solidify your skill in parrying / blocking or prepared more for the boss, you would have had a much better experience. But no, you have to outright ignore the thing that this game relies on. Instead, complain about how it's boring because of its ignorance. Please, for the love of God, actually try to learn the mechanics of the games you play and put in the work to improve your skills. Now, if you actually watched the video, you know that it actually gave the combat a fair chance. Still, I had no success. Now, I admittedly am not good at video games. I know, fraud alert! Fraud alert! Still, I saw that just parrying every attack was just too hard for me, so I decided to play more evasively. From what I played, parrying doesn't affect the enemies at all with your base stats. All it does is negate damage. It doesn't stun the enemy or anything. Therefore, I decided to just save my energy by just running circles around the enemy. The tutorial makes it a point that sprinting is 100% free, so just sprint whenever you want. Apparently that somehow invalidates my experience with the game. I still really don't care about combat. The next comment says, 5 hours of scurrying around and glancing at things rather than engaging with the game at all. Welcome back, Eclipse. This is the problem with having an open world RPG without a core quest line. You're just kind of wandering around looking for miscellaneous quests to do. If they're boring, they're boring. I really could not care less to look blindly in the fog for some abominable snowman to prove some random stranger's friends wrong. It just leads me wandering to places that the game clearly doesn't expect me to wander to, and suffering because all the quests in the recommended area are kinda lame. Like, you asked me to help the miners stuck underground, and like, that's it for the area's quests. No boss, no nothing. Riveting quest design. This next comment here says, bro did not collect those mirrors or use those beds, and complaining about walking, yeah, wrap it up, do not review again. Do people just watch the video Helen Keller mode?
Or, as Helen Keller would say,
I was complaining that every time you die, you have to trek all the way back to where you were. My complaint was that the game is unreasonably stingy with fast travel mirrors, because you'd think with how far you have to go combined with how easily you can die that the game would give a decent amount of fast travel mirrors. But no, it's like one mirror per biome at best. This was such a common rebuttal that I had to mention it here. Here's a comment thread that I wanted to show you where the first guy says, bro literally said every flaw that can be easily avoided in Pilgrimmed if you just explored and spent more time in the game. The second guy then responds saying 5 whole effing hours of exploring isn't enough? Nah, 5 hours gets you to like mid-game. You gotta spend more time to get actual good bosses like Lazari, but you can do Lazari mid-game if you got the parry game. Dude, just play 20 more hours and then the game gets really good. Just a few more hours, bro. If I could be playing literally anything else, why on earth would I spend a dozen hours on a game that hasn't even gotten good yet? A game has to hook me in the first hour, I'd say. I spent 5 of those hours completely bored out of my mind. That's why I ultimately couldn't be bothered to keep going. This comment says, doesn't explore? Where are the NPC quests? There are a lot of flaws with Pilgrim, but this isn't one of them. 5 hours! Y'all are fast to say, Cumin, you can't criticize the game for having no structure. It's open world, so you get to explore however you want. But when someone explores the world the wrong way, y'all say it doesn't count. I saw y'all in the comments saying that one of the areas I found, the Condemned Passage, is supposed to be a late game area. So I don't know how I find a late game area by just exploring the main path that I was told to follow. Speaking of the open world, this comment here says, my game called Pilgrimmed has exploration? This is absurd, you know, but it's pretty obviously meant to be an exploration game where you find these mini quest lines by actually just exploring and get gear and try different bosses. It's like complaining Minecraft has too much mining and crafting. And the map is big because it's open world! There's gonna be empty space and it's not gonna be a super congested map where there's stuff everywhere. Gives the world space to breathe. Before I finish this comment, it's open world excuse for empty worlds with nothing in them is just so overdone. I know you thought you cooked with this, but pack it up. There are open world games that actually manage to put stuff, you know, in the world. I really don't enjoy open world games that are just large for largeness sake. If you're gonna make a big map, devs, put stuff in it. I'm not talking about a bandit to beat here and there. I'm talking about meaningful content. If you can't do that, then don't make a big map. Back to the comment, he's talking about my Pixel Blade first impressions. I'm getting ahead of myself, but I might as well cover it here. Then moving on to your Pixel Quest critiques. The entire game, you call it a Dungeon Quest clone. You realize that Dungeon Quest didn't create the Rouge-like genre. It's a roguelite, but immediately call it clone. First of all, Dungeon Quest isn't a roguelite. I don't know who was telling you that, but you need to cut them off immediately. Second of all, me calling it a Dungeon Quest clone isn't a bad thing. I call it a Dungeon Quest clone because it's the first of its kind. In the same comment, you talk about roguelites. You know, games that are a light clone of the game Rogue. Third of all, Pixel Quest. That's a completely different game that I never talked about in my video once! I was talking about Pixel Blade! Last comment on Pilgrim comes from this guy saying, I swear that not a single review of Pilgrims is up to snuff. Cumin over here struggled on the boss with extremely telegraphed attacks, didn't get good at combat, and beat everything by running away. Eclipse skipped a massive chunk of the game and went to a mid-game area, stayed there, got a mid-game weapon, and then complained about the rest of early game being way too easy. And Blazadon didn't talk about the game's flaws and just glazed it for 40 minutes. You mentioned some valid criticism of the game, but it's sandwiched between all the stuff that only applies because you totally butchered your experience with the game. Edit. It's like Roblox players are so used to being pigeonholed into linear progression that the concept of open world is beyond their understanding. I think if every single person that reviews the game plays it in a different way than you, I don't think that it's a problem with the individual reviewer. And just maybe it's a problem with the game. Also, open world doesn't mean zero structure. You can still have player freedom and at the same time deliver satisfying progression on a fundamental level. Y'all glaze this game so hard, but I don't see what you guys see in it. Also, Pudding didn't get good at combat and beat everything in the same sentence is crazy work, but that's enough talking about this for now. Anyways, it's time we moved on from Pilgrimmed. A while ago, I made a video on Attack on Titan Revolution, but you probably wouldn't have known that because no one watched the video. Still, y'all were livid in the comments because apparently people think that Revolution is the best Attack on Titan game on the platform, when it's not even close! Some of you guys in the comments were complaining that my video was just rage bait. I legitimately don't get how people find that video to be just rage bait. Low-key, I think they're just mad because not a single one of them disputed any points I made against the game. Like, the only thing that people directly disputed in the comments was my complaint that the ODM traversal had some unnatural upward momentum attached. Like, this comment here, I think that upwards momentum is you holding W when you hook and hold W it becomes up and S becomes down and A and D becomes left and right. You keep flying above the enemy because you told your character to do so. If you wish to speed up, then space is the button you want because I have never had that issue. I would have known this if I paid attention to the tutorial, but what do you know? There is none! I also got comments dogging on me for not knowing how to raise player grade because nowhere in the game does it explain how to raise your grade through a tutorial or progress meter or anything. Some of these comments are saying that I only hate the game because I have a skill issue. Brother, are you mentally disabled? Did you watch the video like at all? I was complaining that the game was too easy. The game's repetitive nature plus its lack of difficulty made it feel incredibly monotonous. That was like the biggest complaint I had in the video. I legitimately don't know how you miss it. This comment here says, I like your criticism, but I'm just saying, is there a video that you made talking about the games or a group of people that you like in this silly Lego game? Maybe you should find new topics rather than just criticize. It's getting rather repetitive. I don't know if y'all watch my videos reposted with Subway servers on the bottom or something, but believe it or not, I make videos on the games I like. Y'all just choose to actively not watch them. Pixelblade, Stars Align, Blocktails, especially with Blocktails. Y'all think just because I think the game is alright, y'all interpret that as me saying it's literally worse than Hitler. I found this post on the Blocktails wiki saying, hell no. This guy is a PMD and Cuphead reviewer talking about Blocktails being one of the bad RPGs. Doesn't even get past chapter 1. The reviewer who couldn't get past the Cuphead tutorial and the one who didn't get past Applewoods welcoming him in their bad game cause you don't give other games chances, circle. When did I say Blocktails was a bad game? Y'all are just dying to be the victim here. Media literacy of a walnut, people. Y'all just turn a blind eye to those videos because I need to be painted as the YouTuber who hates literally everything. This comment here is probably my favorite. What the hell happened? I've been following your videos for a while now. You take a lot of inspiration from Eclipse, but even Eclipse doesn't rage bait as much as you have been recently. Like the whole movement part is just half skill issue and the other half straight rage bait. Every AOT game does not have to be the exact same movement as Titan Warfare. You kinda got everything else right, but honestly, you shouldn't have made this video if you don't even talk correctly about the problems in this game. It's just sad to watch you trying your best to rage bait as much as possible, and this rage baiting is not going to help make these shoddy games any better. Once again, I'm never beating the Eclipse clone allegations, even if I was rage baiting, even if everything I said was specifically for engagement and doesn't reflect on my actual opinion on the game. By commenting on the video, you fell hook, line, and sinker for said rage bait. The algorithm especially loves long comments like this one. Well, I guess the algorithm didn't like this video specifically, but my point still stands. The last thing I want to talk about is my The Forge video. Considering how popular the game was when it launched, I really expected to see a bunch of kids whining in my comment section that my video sucks and this game is the best thing ever. However, y'all actually behaved yourselves. I'm proud of you guys.
I'm proud of myself. Y'all low-key sleeping on Roblox porn.
Well, except for this guy on Reddit. What do we do with him? Since the devs said that the game is a passion project. Kill him. While I'm on the topic, my Switch 2 video got posted to the Tomorrow subreddit. It's supposed to be like a satirical circle jerk sub where everyone glazes Nintendo. However, this guy stops the bit for a moment to ask why it's always the clippy NPCs. I don't know, I never stopped doing my part against big tech companies. I say that as opposed to a YouTube video that makes the platform money, but who cares? Anyways, I stopped caring about clippy ages ago, but I haven't changed my profile picture because I'm too lazy to draw another image. Another guy says, let's see if I can guess. Price is too high, online service bad, Mario Kart World bad, taking down pirates bad, no soul. Did I get it? I mean, you got 1 out of 5, I guess. That counts for something. I never really talked about Switch Online apart from the Virtual Boy. I never really talked about Mario Kart World apart from using the price to segment into a broader discussion about game prices. I never said anything about Nintendo losing its soul apart from Iwata's passing and Reggie's departure. Back to the Forge, I got a suspicious DM from a viewer after that video went up. I thought it would just be a quick innocent question. They say, I saw your new video about the Forge. In there you talk about, you know, the original devlog Dream Game video, and you have a comment there which I replied to. And I checked, and I was the only one that talked about the Forge being a fake RPG, and you didn't mention my comment at all in your video. This topic even became the title of your video. Firstly, calling a game a nothing game isn't exactly an original insult that only you can make, requiring you being given appropriate credit. I legitimately didn't know what they were talking about, but even if I did read their comment, that doesn't mean that I'm obligated to put you in my video. I mean, you're in my video now, but my point still stands. They pasted their long comment, but TLDR, he was saying that The Forge isn't actually an RPG because it lacks meaningful player choices that change gameplay or story. It lacks a build system like skill trees or stat allocation. It lacks a real narrative and it lacks various roles to play. Obviously, I disagree. My definition is basically that RPGs are any game that involve combat meant to improve the character's stats long term. It's a simple definition that I feel is inclusive of every RPG while excluding any game that definitively isn't an RPG. Like Super Mario has combat where you jump on Koopas, but you don't get stronger by fighting them. I said that based on this guy's criteria, he'd be excluding other RPGs like Undertale with no player build system, or Kingdom Hearts with no meaningful long-term player choice. This guy states, not my criteria, they are the criteria of the RPG genre. Undertale has branching dialogue and impactful decisions, aka killing the NPCs permanently. Kingdom Hearts I didn't play, also Undertale is primarily a story game. Big reason to compare Undertale with The Forge. Frankly, you can't just assert your own personal definition as the be-all, end-all of the genre. Granted, I'm doing the same thing using my personal definition as well, but at least I actually made an attempt to include games widely considered to be RPGs. Also, undermining my mention of Undertale by saying it's primarily a story game, when its narrative is built by its gameplay, is baffling. The whole game's premise is that it's an RPG flipped on its head. I say, well, the RPG genre casts a wide net, because RPGs come in all shapes and sizes. They say, not wide enough for The Forge. Where is role-playing involved in The Forge? Please tell me. In your video, you said an RPG designed like a simulator, a second-screen grind game, a really grindy game, the most nothing game for me personally. I feel like now you're contradicting yourself. What does that even mean? They literally said earlier in their original comments that you play the role of a miner in The Forge. They're saying that because I said this game feels like a grindy simulator, that suddenly means I'm contradicting myself. I send one last message because I really don't have time to be arguing with random kids on the internet as a 20-year-old man. This will be my last message on this topic, but firstly, you yourself said that you play the role of a miner. Second, just because I said it's an RPG designed like a simulator, that doesn't mean that it's not an RPG. Lastly, I think you're trying to insinuate that because the game is a second screen type game and grindy, that I don't actually think it's an RPG. When games like RuneScape frequently get played on a second screen and grinded to the point where the phrase 92 is half of 99 is cemented in MMO culture. This genius says in response, RuneScape has I don't know how many skills, like 20, but The Forge doesn't have a skill, only the mining mechanic. As a shallow gameplay loop, it's just not designed as a skill. Also, in RuneScape, every skill you level gets you bonuses towards other things, like fighting with physical combat. Fletcher goes towards archery, etc. You don't have this in the Forge either. I didn't try to insinuate anything. I just repeated what you said. And the title is clearly, The Forge is the most nothing RPG. So unless you admit your title was clickbait, you're really just contradicting yourself now. And unlike you, who didn't do any rebuttal towards my argument, I am doing that. I swear to God, I'm talking to a wall right now. I really don't know what this guy's trying to say if they insist that they're not insinuating anything by quoting me. What point are you even trying to make anymore? And yeah, my title is clickbait. All of my titles are clickbait. That's YouTube 101. Of course, I'm gonna get more views of the video titled The Forge is the most nothing RPG compared to a review on some random Roblox game I found one time. When I say that a game is nothing, that doesn't mean that there's literally nothing in it, you moron. How does that mean I'm contradicting myself? Oh well, who cares? Now I get the last word and I make money off the video. I don't really have anything else to add to the video since this is long enough already. Happy New Year, and thanks for all the support we've gotten this year. My goal in 2026 is to reach 50k subs, and I think we can do it. Like if you like the video, dislike if you don't, and I'll see you guys in the next video.